Hello, OT friends, and welcome to the Uncommon OT series. I'm Patricia Modis, and I'm your host, a Filipino-American, native New Yorker, currently based in Los Angeles, bulldog mama, and an uncommon occupational therapist myself for the past 22 years. On this podcast, you will hear me proudly feature the unique careers of occupational therapy practitioners working in non-traditional and role-emerging practice areas, settings where OT is uncommon. I invite you to receive a dose of OT inspiration, to learn, to think outside of the box, and to be energized and motivated to follow in these unconventional paths. Happy listening! Before we begin this episode, I want to extend a special thanks to Picmonic, our sponsor. If you are an OT or OTA student looking for an excellent learning resource and study aid, Picmonic might be for you. Whether you're studying for your classes or getting ready for the NBCOT exam, it is a visual mnemonic learning tool that has been research proven to increase retention and help students ace their exams. It uses audio-visual learning and intelligence-based repetition algorithms to help with long-term retention while studying. If you're interested in trying it for yourself, sign up today using the link in the show notes or using the code TRANSITIONSOT to score a discount of 20% off your Picmonic membership. Welcome back to a special Christmas episode of the Uncommon OT series podcast, friends. Today, we are celebrating the holiday season by reflecting on what makes our profession truly extraordinary. You'll hear from me and some of my incredible past guests sharing our favorite parts of being occupational therapy practitioners. For me, it's still the amazing versatility of our field, the fact that we can work across the lifespan, in any setting, and with such diverse populations. I also really love these up-close conversations, the opportunity to connect, and meeting my inspiring guests who continue to motivate and uplift me. Each of these interviews is really a chance to uncover the unique journeys, wisdom, and creativity of these extraordinary individuals. These stories are designed not only to inspire me, but also to spark passion and fresh perspective in you, our listeners. So, as you listen to this episode, can you guess which Uncommon OT guests are featured? Listen closely to find out if any or all of our reflections resonate with you. Grab a cup of hot cocoa, settle in by the fire, and join us for this festive journey through the joys of being an OT. Please tell us your favorite part of being an occupational therapy practitioner and why.
Well, for me, it's that every day is different and that I can use my occupational therapy lens to look at things maybe in a distinct way. So I think the sky is the limit on what we can do as occupational therapy practitioners. It just requires thinking different sometimes, thinking outside the box, and not being frightened, to be brave that, you can try things and maybe you make a mistake and what are the lessons learned? And that's sort of how I've approached my career. I try things and some things work and some don't, but I always learn from those lessons.
This is so much shared, right? I think maybe this is the occupational therapy heart that we all have beating within us. It's different. And at the same time, it's this really incredible opportunity to just constantly be involved in a collaborated and unique problem solving, right? Like it's the idea that there actually isn't a solution. There isn't a right answer. There isn't an only pathway, but that actually the whole journey of occupational therapy is that you're walking alongside someone and you're like brainstorming together. And you can have what looks on the outside or from the details in a chart, what presents is two exactly same experiences. And you've discovered two uniquely different pathways to get to a result at the end. And to me, it's this incredible reminder of the complexity that we are as humans. And it helps me to, I think, just appreciate life, and all that we bring to it. And I would be totally in, I don't know, maybe denial if I didn't acknowledge that there are times when I discover new ways to do things or new occupations that I had never even been familiar with, that I'm walking alongside with someone and I'm like, oh my goodness, like, let's do this together. This is great. And so, I mean, it just expands all the things that bring meaning and purpose to me too.
You know, Allison, I just want to add one more thing to that. I hope that's okay. It's like the lived experiences of our clients are really guides for us, and they help shape and improve our clinical practice and the research that we do. So I think they help us. Those lived experiences are something we need to cherish.
What is your favorite part about being an occupational therapist, and why?
I think that there's such a wide range of creativity within occupational therapy. That's something that really drew me to the profession. I remember being in school and people saying, if you get tired of this area, you can always move into this or this. So there's a lot of opportunity for change. There's a lot of opportunity for creativity. And I think that OT really allows us to really connect with our patients in a way that other disciplines, not to say they don't connect, but I think we can really kind of build these deeper, more intimate bonds because we're helping them in things that are really intimate. You know, toileting and dressing is a lot more intimate than walking. And so I think they hopefully our patients really build a sense of trust and rapport with us that leads to a deeper connection.
What is your favorite part about being an occupational therapist, and why?
My favorite part about being an occupational therapist is the idea that the story changes every time you meet somebody. It's a different story. And what you have to offer can be life-changing, and it's different too. It's always exciting. It's challenging, and I love that, and I think that's why we all love it, because it's diverse. It's changing every day, so it's interesting. It's never dull, so it keeps you learning.
I love that about our profession too. What is your favorite part about being an OT, and why?
Oh, I think being an OT is like a way of life and a way of seeing the world. And my favorite part, just in my current role where I get to interface with OTs all the time, I love that way of life and seeing the world is almost like a universal language where I can get on a call with, it feels like any OT from anywhere, and we just have this shared language, these shared values, and this like really easy connection point that just never fails to amaze me how I can just like connect so quickly and dive so deep with, it feels like basically any fellow OT.
Oh, that's so true. I totally agree with that. Yeah, just especially in this whole world of podcasting that we're both in, and kind of having to reach out to OT practitioners from all over the place. I have had very similar conversations.
Yeah, do you feel the same way? We're kind of in the same boat. Do you feel the same way?
I do. I was just talking to a couple of OTs in England yesterday, and we're working in completely different settings. However, we spoke the same language.
Yes.
And, it took 30 seconds for us to kind of start nodding our heads when each was speaking. So you just get each other.
Yeah, it's amazing.
So my favorite part about OT is how creative I get to be right alongside of the neurology and the medical piece. So kind of in high school, I was a pretty big artsy person. I loved metal arts and all sorts of things like that. And I also really loved the science part of medical school, but I really didn't want to do like 15 minutes with a patient and then out. So OT kind of gives me an opportunity to not only be connected to the medical side, but also be creative by choosing different treatment activities and interventions and plans of care for every specific person. So it was a great meld between the two. And so it keeps me happy and engaged.
So actually, I love to do spicy research in terms of like the
spicy.
harder the topics, the more I like it.
Okay.
And also, I like a lot of moving parts.
I think my favorite part about being an occupational therapist is the variety that we have in our day-to-day life. So this includes like the type of patients, depending on what setting you're in. I just completed my rotation, so I got two very different experiences, but we work with people of all ages, and it really just comes down to what is meaningful to our patients, and that can range from cooking one morning with a patient, and then later on you're working on dressing, and then maybe you go and do a community outing. And I think the variety of our interventions is not only helps me stay creative and keeps me on my toes, but also is just really fun and switches things up every day. And yeah, I love the variety of OT for sure.
I think really discovering people is one really favorite part, and that allows you to be creative and meet people where they are. I love that we're a profession that's not the same intervention to every person, and that the part of the challenge of being a great occupational therapy practitioner is finding that passion and occupation that person values and helping them achieve it.
I think I stayed in occupational therapy because the central or the cornerstone of this profession, discipline, is occupation. And occupation is an everyday thing that people do. And because of that, I was allowed to do a lot of different things and not just boxed into doing one thing, because there is one path in becoming an OT. No, since we are engaged, or our main mission is to help people work in different occupations, then that allows us to really do a lot of things beyond one can imagine. So yeah. And that's why we're here in this podcast.
Yes. 1000%. And I love that part about being an OT too.
I always worked in some kind of human service or that kind of path where I was always in a helping profession, even before I started my OTA schooling. And I think that's what I've always liked about it, just being with other people and you know, being able to see kind of the whole picture and be able to help people who can't necessarily see that whole picture get there. You know, that's kind of my favorite part, just the getting to that whole picture, that big picture, the fine details, all of it.
I feel like I love learning, and I feel like as an OT, there's so much you can continue learning throughout the profession. And so many ways to expand your knowledge, whether that's like neuro or physiological, or right now I'm learning more about infants and feeding and oral motor development. And it's just so cool that we have access to so many avenues, you know, babies, mental health, adults, kids, different settings, like you're saying, Brooke, like the hospital or surf therapy. Yeah. And I just think it's so cool that we have the ability to always be able to learn so much more, and it's so expansive. Yeah. And it's so it's so fun. You can just kind of take that lens and do whatever, which is what I love about it.
Yeah, it's a really great answer. Like I was thinking like the same thing. Like I really love the aspect of that we get to learn. And if you wanted something different, you could learn something totally new and go a different direction. I'll say something else instead. I really love the aha moments that you see when you work with a patient, an athlete, a child, a client, and you see them be able to do something for the first time that they haven't been able to do. And you see their face light up and they're like, oh my God, I never thought I'd be able to do this again. That's like the perfect aha moment, the best part of what we do and why we do it. And so I really love seeing those aha moments in the people we serve.
My favorite part about being an occupational therapist is the freedom to do the things with my clients that they love to do and the things that they enjoy doing on a daily basis. So when I first wanted to become an OT, I shadowed someone who was working with clients on playing basketball. Another client, they were cooking biscuits and gravy. And then another group setting, they were making Christmas crafts of Christmas ornaments. So I loved doing those things because I love to do all those different types of occupations. So I immediately knew I wanted to be an OT for that reason.
Yeah, I think that's also one of my reasons, but I think the reason for me is that at the end of the day, and whether that be like the end of my career or the end of my life, I want to be able to look back and say, like, I had a job that allowed me to change people's lives, allowed me to help people and make a difference. And, there's a lot of other careers out there that give people job satisfaction. But I don't think that they would give me job satisfaction if I didn't get to every day make a difference. And so that's the one thing about OT that I really appreciate is, getting to make a change for someone.
I just love the fact that it is broad in the sense that we're drawing on biology, physical aspects, psychology, how people think and how they feel and how they react to things, the influence of the environment and their social situation. And I just can't think of any other profession which is that broad and that inclusive. And of course, all of those factors determine how we live our lives and who we are. So yeah, I think that's brilliant.
I just like the variety of it. My career is the perfect example of the taking advantage of the variety that OT can offer. I've worked in almost every setting, I feel like sometimes. And that's probably what I like the best. I just haven't been able to get bored.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, my favorite part is the diversity and the ability to be able to understand the things that give my life meaning and break them down and share them with other people, and also help people identify what gives their life meaning as well and help them pursue those things. I love working with people and just the ability to work on an individual level to improve their understanding of themselves and help them achieve goals, and also in a community and more activist capacity of actually really influencing the health of communities and societies as a whole. I think there's a lot of potential for occupational therapy to do that.
Yes.
Same creativity. So that I'm always updating and using actual logical skills and creativity every single day. It's not boring. So OT makes me feel alive, feel fresh every day. So I'm like looking forward, what will come next tomorrow, even though it's the same client, but how can I change that obstacle course? How can I use this new cutting skills or new worksheet, etc. So it's creativity, the same that makes me happy about OT.
My favorite part about being an OT is that anything can be OT. I tell my students this all the time. I'm like, if you have good clinical reasoning, anything can be OT. Like we can use task analysis to break anything down and then use it as an activity.
Oh, my favorite part of being an OT is really the versatility of our skills. Like there are so many areas in in a lot of industries that we can be of benefit because our way of looking at things in a more holistic way. We're a systems thinker, right? We know what the relationship is, the transactional relationship between the person, the occupation, or the task, and the context where that is happening. So not only we're able to analyze each of those, we're able to know what the dynamic is. And that is a very special skill.
Ooh, my favorite part about being an OT is really working with my clients and seeing progress, or just seeing the connections that they're making and watching the skills translate over. So really seeing the clients integrate and adapt the skills. That's probably the best part for me. Like when I'm able to really provide support and just facilitate the skills that they already have and build on that, and when I see the clients get it, you just see a light bulb.
Yeah.
And it's just amazing. That's my favorite part. Yeah.
I love the opportunity to get to connect with people deeply in a variety of different settings, people from all different walks of life. The lens that I feel as occupational therapy practitioners we bring to all of our interactions with people is so deeply special to me. I feel like it's a lens that has influenced not only relationships with clients in the clinic, but also with family members, people in the community, just thinking about the different contexts that, impact people, who they are, what lights them up. I just love that way of moving through the world that OT has given me.
My favorite part personally about being an OT probably is that it challenges me to constantly be learning new things that I use in my own life too. So it's kind of almost allowing me personal and professional development continuously. It's sort of not something that's I don't get bored in it, because there's so many different areas you can work in, and every human that I get to interact with as an OT is different and encourages me to learn new ways of interacting with them. So that's probably my favorite. And then the other would be, I do really enjoy seeing people's lives change with just a little bit of intervention, and mostly their own ideas, really, that I'm sort of facilitating them come up with. I just love seeing that ability to make change happen.
I think my favorite part really is just meeting so many different people, talking to them, getting to learn their life journeys. Honestly, it definitely changes your life as well, because you meet these people, you see the things they're going through, and you change. I definitely have a different perspective when I talk to my friends about things. Sometimes people will say something about somebody, and I'll be like, well, you don't know if that's a situation, or you don't know how they got there, or you don't know what's actually going on with their life. Like, maybe you're not actually looking at the background of things. And I think that that's what OT has helped me do a lot.
I love the diversity and the flexibility within the profession. I work in pediatrics. I also work in tech, and I have been able to shift and adjust my passions. They say that over a career, you will change your profession, or you'll change your job multiple times. And I feel like you can do that with an OT. You could be a hand therapist, or you could be in acute care, and then you could do pediatrics, and you're still an OT, and you're still applying those same principles. And so you can shift and adjust your career path based on your interests and as your life moves along. Yes. So I find, as I have developed more of an interest in mental health and coaching, I find I'm bringing more of those pieces into working with families and adjusting what I offer. And I love that I can still do that within the scope of being an occupational therapist.
My favorite part about being an OT is that you get to be very creative. I've worked across a couple of different settings, and I've seen a lot. And then now I feel equipped to be an entrepreneur. And I think that my OT mind never really turns off.
My favorite part is just being able to mold yourself to whatever your clients need. So, like, we're in so many different niches and settings and things like that. So, we can do pretty much anything between, newborns to the elderly. So, I think it's just fun to work throughout the lifespan and pretty much any setting that you want to, even non-traditional settings.
Really, for me, since I specialize in hand therapy, and so I love two worlds, right? I love anatomy. I love the way the body works. I love how it's designed, and I get to learn about all the different nuances and specialties of just your basic anatomy and how your body heals itself and how it's designed to work. To me, that it's just amazing to see that every day. But then the second part is I love the journey that I am on with the people that I'm working with, because you get to see somebody who comes in with some crazy traumatic injury or ailment or something that happened, and they're completely at their lowest, and you get to be a part of them in that transition. Maybe it's them realizing, wait a second, no, I can do this again. Or it's, oh, well, I was on this track to become, go into this profession, but hey, I never thought about doing something else. I'm good at that. Or Erica, what do you think of that? And you get to be in their life. You get to really be in their life, and you get to see somebody evolve. And I love that part.
Me too.
Yeah, I love that answer too. Different than what Erica does. My main jam is acute care. So, this is sort of a motif or a theme within our book is a lot of the OTs talk about that moment. And that moment is in the acute care, it's you and a complete stranger. And just a moment where like you're with them, you're by them, it's just like you're sharing a personal moment with a complete stranger. More often you're dealing with personal things. So like these moments for me are happening after a commode transfer. And they're like, I'm on the toilet for the first time in 3 months, and then you just share a moment with a stranger. Like nothing has to be said, nothing has to be like, it just, they're trusting you with like their most personal things, and you're that person that's doing that for them. So for me, clinically speaking, that's it right there. And then those moments with as an educator with those students, when you see them sort of get that aha moment, I guess it's the aha moment with the patient too, right? It's like, oh man, like this is it, we did it. We're here, we're on the same page, we're here together for your journey. It's pretty awesome, and I don't think other professions, even in healthcare, can sort of match that personability. So, yeah, it's heavy stuff, but it's awesome.
Yeah.
Couldn't agree more. And I work in a completely different setting too, right? I work in a community base, I work in a shelter. So, but then there's a certain acuity to the needs of the individuals that make them highly vulnerable. And we have, having shared some of those moments with people and, really kind of being a part of that has been my favorite part. And then you talked about students. I had a level 1 student and a level 2 student this week who were following me around, basically, just learning from me, right? And it was her last day on Friday, yesterday. And just the feedback that she gave. So it's just such a revolving door of good feelings, right? Because you put it out, you get it. So yeah, I absolutely love our profession and, the potential and there's so many different ways that each of us sort of puts it out there in the world.
Yeah. And there's another, I had a coworker who once said, we have to be at our best when our patients are at their most vulnerable time. And it can feel like pressure, especially for new graduates. It can feel like a little overwhelming. You sort of start to feel that imposter syndrome. Like, am I doing enough?
Yeah,
Am I actually like making a difference with this person's life? Am I actually rehabilitating them? And because they're so vulnerable, it's amazing because the potential is there. And as you get into your career and as you grow and as you see occupation differently, right? As we evolve, it changes. But these people are vulnerable and we're put there for a reason. So, yeah, those moments are really powerful. They're pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much for joining me for this special Christmas episode of the Uncommon OT Series podcast. It's been such a joy reflecting on what makes our profession so extraordinary and sharing 30 plus unique perspectives on the favorite parts of being an occupational therapy practitioner, both mine and those of my inspiring past guests. The versatility of our field, the ability to work across the lifespan, and the meaningful connections we make with diverse populations are just a few of the reasons why I love what I do. So through these interviews, I've been inspired time and time again by the creativity, wisdom, and passion of my guests, and I hope that their stories spark something special in you too. Were you able to guess which Uncommon OT guests were featured? I'd love to hear your thoughts, so please reach out and share your favorite parts of being an OT. And as we wrap up the year, I want to wish you a joyful holiday season filled with inspiration, connection, peace, and warmth. Thank you so much for listening and for being part of this wonderful community. Until 2025, stay uncommon and keep making a difference. Happy holidays, friends. And that wraps up another inspiring episode of the Uncommon OT series. Connect with me at www.transitionsot.com. And don't forget to sign up to be part of the Transitions OT community. By doing so, you'll receive my latest compiled list of Uncommon OT practice settings, the latest news on mentoring offerings, Uncommon OT live events, non-traditional OT resources, and more. You may also follow me on my social media pages on Instagram and LinkedIn. And if you love this episode, head on over to Spotify, Stitcher, Apple, and Google Podcasts to follow, rate, and leave a review. I also ask you to consider pledging your support to my Passion Podcast project by being a patron on Patreon. It is very much appreciated. Sending big OT love. Thank you so much for listening. Until next time.